What's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome to a live episode of the Bleed Blue Network. Live if you're watching currently, or if you're going to join the podcast later after this gets uploaded. Thank you for dropping in and listening. As you can see, we have video. This is a nice little setup, I guess. This is I'm in my loft, actually. I used to do whiskey podcasts up here a lot. So if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, or obviously live, you can kind of see that for yourself. But excited to be doing this. My light just went off over here, so it's fine. This is like live radio, guys. It's like live radio, live streaming. Everything works and doesn't work sometimes, so that's fine. Appreciate you guys jumping in. Want to kind of touch on a few things. Obviously the Mark Pope era sort of gets kicked off, even though it's an exhibition game. The stats and things don't count, but it was great to see Kentucky basketball actually playing against an actual opponent. We've talked about this team for months. We've been really looking forward to basketball season, and here we are. Also, this weekend, tomorrow, Kentucky has a very big matchup against Auburn, which is big for the Mark Stoops era, big for Kentucky this year. A lot of things on the line. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but want to kind of jump into basketball real quick. Obviously, these are that's probably the thing I think a lot of people are really excited about. Kentucky opens the season with a fairly good win. I think that was good. 123-52. I believe that's fairly good. Kentucky's offense showed a lot of promise and a lot of firepower. I think the interesting thing about this team is going to be how the rotation really settles in. We kind of talked about this on a live. We talked about this also on some other conversations about who kind of surprised you, but also who maybe you think isn't going to play as much just after watching one game. Look, it's really subjective, right? Like, we have no clue what some of these numbers are going to be or anything. But, I think Ainsley Almanor really surprised me a lot more. His court movement, his vision, his ability to knock down shots, I think was much better than what we saw in the scrimmage or madness. He was 5 of 7 from 3. I think he had one free throw. He only took threes. He didn't take any inside the arc. 15 points in just trying to find, there's the minute. Sorry. 20 minutes of play, so almost averaged a point a minute. Kentucky started the first half shooting 40% from 3. They're 8 of 20. Really got hot in the second half. 13-22, ended up finishing the game 21-42 for 50%. I believe that if they would have hit 20, I believe the record is 22. They would have tied the record for the most 3-pointers in a game. So I believe that, if this would have, if this game would have counted, they would have really come close to the record, which sparked a conversation, right? Like, is this team going to potentially break that record? I would probably say that's a yes. I think they might break it multiple times. They might break the record, then break the record. You're probably going to see this team average 15 made threes. You'll probably take around 30 to 35. I think 42 is probably high for what you're going to see in most games, just because the competition, right? The shots were a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, it's really awesome, that Kentucky's got, such firepower available. Not only on their bench, but just up and down their lineup. But they probably, I don't know if they'll go 12 deep in the season. I think Travis Perry is probably a player, maybe doesn't get as much playing time. Trent Noah maybe doesn't get as much playing time. Obviously, Kirk Kriisa was out of this game. He's going to eat up some of those minutes. Trent Noah played 9 minutes and 18 seconds. Travis Perry played 14 minutes, 53 seconds. If they play, you probably got to think Kerr probably eats up. I mean, that's what, 23 minutes of playing time. Kerr probably eats up at least 15. You got to think Kerr is going to get at least, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a clock. Lamont Butler led the game in total time on the court with 25 minutes and 7 seconds. Jackson Robinson was second there with 22 minutes, 34 seconds. Not that I think it matters. I think this team's going to be pretty spread out. Jackson had a game high 19. Otega Owe, who I think was really impressive. I think his ability to get to the rack and shoot and physicality, I think, is something that was really impressive for. I think people saw that in him, but actually being able to see it in action, I think, was really cool from that perspective. And, just the fluidity of the offense at times. In the beginning, I thought there was maybe a little nerves. They weren't playing necessarily as fluid and open. But let me tell you, like, the ability for Kentucky to just, really just move the ball, 32 assists. The last time that happened, I think it was 2014 or 16, believe somebody had posted that. But it doesn't happen a lot. I think this team is going to make a run at probably breaking the 3-point record for a game, probably breaking the assist record for a game. You've got a lot of talent. You've got a lot of people that are experienced. I mean, we're one of the most experienced teams in the country without bringing back any production, just because which I don't think is disingenuous a little bit, right? Because you've got to take into account these guys have been playing basketball for a really, really long time. Andrew Carr got the first bucket of the Mark Pope era. Obviously this team is going to be really exciting to watch. You're probably going to have, I'd say this team's going to have at least 5 or 6 guys average double figures in a game, which is insane. I have been a little bit more on the cautionary aspect of the team being or the team expectations, not the team being good, but the team expectations, right? So what I mean by that is if this team does what it's supposed to do and gels, I think that this is probably a Final Four team. I know some people might disagree with me that this team might have some lumps or some losses. I think that they're probably going to have that. I think that's going to be more rotational and as the team learns than anything. I don't think it's because the team's bad or anything like that. Look, it's a new team. No matter what, it's a new coach. You're going to figure things out. There's going to be scenarios where the coach is going to learn how the players react in certain situations. Again, has nothing to do with the fact that they're not talented or experienced. I think it's just the fact that it's a team that they have to learn, right? Like, you have to have that ability to really kind of to really play and tinker with that a little bit. But whereas our teams in the past, right, Cal would have a team and we would lose, and maybe we'd lose 2, maybe we lose 3, maybe we wouldn't look good. I think if this team loses a game, you're going to see the bounce back. They're going to learn very quickly from either of the mistakes. Maybe they just flat out got beat, right? Like, and that can happen. I think that in this college basketball era and in college basketball in general, you can see a lot of teams just lose. I don't know if there's one dominant team. I obviously Alabama is probably the best team in the country. Kansas, I think you would argue, is there, but as far as purely dominant, I think that's yet to be seen. I think Arkansas and Kansas actually play tonight, and I think it's an exhibition game, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I believe they play either tonight or tomorrow. But I think this Kentucky team, with the experience that they have, this is a Final Four team if they gel the right way and keep what we saw the other night. I mean, an incredible shooting display, scoring for fun. I think you're going to see a lot more maturity through this roster as well. That's probably a big fat dub because they're a bunch of upperclassmen. But there was a play, I believe it was in the first half. I think it was Carr. He got a pass and he went to pass the ball, and it wouldn't have been the right move. And if he would have just tried to dribble, it would have been the wrong move. And I remember looking over and saying to my father-in-law, that's a play last year that we make. That's a forced shot, right? They catch the ball and they try and dribble and the lane's clogged and they force a shot up or they force a bad pass. He takes the ball, jab steps, fakes the pass. The guy bites and then he takes it in the lane and kicks it out for an open three. And it was that one extra nuanced piece of movement that you just saw that was like, oh, wow. And then also Lamont Butler, first half, gets kind of a breakaway, goes up, and he could yak it. I mean, the guy's got hops, period, all day. And instead of going to cram it, the defender's kind of right on his back a little bit. Maybe that becomes a play where there's contact. Maybe there's potential where, maybe you take a unnecessary risk, and he just lays it in. He wasn't going for the big play. And I think that was something that was those little plays that the team made that you go, hey, man, this is where you're really excited, because that maturity and stuff that you see is exciting. Obviously, Kentucky doesn't play again for a little bit. I got to double check. I think it's 4 more days. I think so. If anybody wants to jump and throw in the chat, I can see the chat. If anybody has questions or anything like that, jump in. Yes, October 29th. So they play Tuesday against Minnesota State. And then obviously November 4th, which is, a little over a week away, we open the game against the actual season against Wright State before Bucknell. And then ultimately we play Duke, which is our first test. A lot of people think Duke is going to be really good. I think, look, we're going to see how Duke actually kind of pans out. The more I think about it, and I think I was a little bit more skeptical the night after, or the night we won, just because I hadn't been able to rewatch tape or, anything like that, and just kind of really digest it. The more I think about it, the more I'm really starting to get a little bit more bullish on this team. And I think the biggest thing is we've been bit in the ass a couple times by Cal teams, by just excitement, and to be let down. And I have to program my brain. I think there's a couple of people that are like that, right? You have to reprogram your brain a little bit to be like, hey, like, this isn't Cal's team. This is a really mature team. Yeah. It was it's exciting. I'm really excited for basketball. So I think I put this in, and I'll pull it up. I kind of made a couple things, predictions. Jaden's going to put it out there. He's probably going to kill me that I said this. So a bold prediction. I don't know how bold this is. I think Kentucky's probably going to end up with a top 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. I don't know if you think that's bold, if that's outlandish, especially, I think some people, the projections were like 6 to 7, 9 that I've seen before the season started. Schedule prediction, I think they're going to go probably around 25-6, 26-5. I think they can do better. I don't think winning 28, 29 games is out of the realm of possibility for this team. I don't want to set myself up crazy. And then look, I think that this is probably a team that can contend for the Final Four. I said on a Twitter space, this has to be a Sweet 16 at bare minimum. Like, when I say the absolute floor is this team has to make the Sweet 16, I also, and not to discredit it or not think about it, but I think this team needs to make an SEC tournament run. Getting to the SEC title game, I think, would be important for this team. I think this is a top 4 team. I think this team gets a bye. I don't see a lot of other teams in the SEC that I think is going to be better. Obviously, Alabama's going to be really good. I don't think Tennessee is going to be better than I don't think Tennessee is going to be better than us. Obviously, they're going to be very good defensively. They usually always are. Zakai Ziegler's playing in his 75th year in college basketball, so obviously he should be a little good. But that's just the way I think. That's just the way I think Kentucky's going to. I think that they're a top 4 seed. I don't know why they're picked so low, and I don't get it. I think maybe some people probably would change it. I think if they probably could. But especially after watching the first couple of minutes, I think they probably would change it. Obviously, Auburn's going to be decent. I don't think they would have picked Kentucky to be 6. I don't think Arkansas is going to be better than Kentucky. Just going to be honest with you. I don't think A&M is probably going to be better than Kentucky. I don't think Tennessee's probably. I think Kentucky might be the second best team in the SEC. And that's saying something because Alabama is a national championship contender. They're gonna, they're the number one team in the country in my book. I think if Kentucky is a two or three in the SEC, that's going to be because the SEC is loaded this year. I mean, Tennessee is good, Auburn's good, Arkansas is going to be decent, right? We know that they have talent. They're going to be able to beat anybody on any given night, just because of the talent that they have. I mean, Cal, we can talk all about Cal, all we want. But they're going to be good. I think that the SEC probably gets in 9 teams in the tournament. 9. I think that's probably something that I would say. 9 teams. That would be my guess. 8 to 9. I think Kentucky's got a really good chance to get a bye, and I think if nothing else, the home court advantage Kentucky has this year is going to be very interesting. I think the last couple of years, outside of big games, Rupp was very blah. You had, I think people were just conditioned to be almost in this cycle of almost expectation of knowing what they're going to get. Even at times when we would be behind the teams, it wouldn't get crazy and loud. It was almost that dread of here we go again instead of getting behind the team. I think you're going to see a lot of excitement for this team. Obviously, Mark Pope brings that in and everything, but a different level of Rupp Arena, which we need, right? I mean, we need that excitement and that enthusiasm to really kick in this season. And I pity a lot of teams that come in here and play, to be honest with you. It's exciting. Kentucky plays, Western Kentucky at home. I don't know the last time we played Western, when the last time we played them was. That should be a really fun game. That's a little bit earlier of a tip-off as well on a weeknight, so should be fun. Obviously, Kentucky plays Louisville at home this year. Very exciting to get that. Other fun games that are going to be in Rupp. Obviously, we play Florida, Texas A&M, Alabama. That's going to probably be an insane. I mean, that probably goes back to last time Tennessee was number 1 that came in here. That place was absolutely crazy. I was at that game, and that was one of the most fun games I've ever been. Obviously, February 1st, Arkansas comes in here. That's a 9 p.m. tip-off. That's going to be, that's going to be Rick Pitino coming back to Louisville type vibes. Tennessee comes in here as well. Auburn and LSU rounds out the home slate at Rupp Arena. And I don't know what you guys think about the new court. I thought it looked pretty good. It looked a lot brighter on TV than I think it did in the arena. It's going to be really exciting. Kentucky is really trying to be on the cutting edge of the new glass court, right? We saw that at Madness. Was told also that they're not just looking at Madness, right, to do these things. That they're really looking at being, one of the very first schools to adopt that. I think probably in the next 1 to 3 years, you're going to see Kentucky playing on a court like that full time. If you didn't see it, you could check it out on our TikTok, on basically all of our social medias. We posted a video. There's a little, I put time lapse, and some people got mad about it. It's not really a time lapse. It's sped up a little bit, but it's where you can see the court changing, kind of what it can do. The interesting thing about the court is, let's say you're in the 200 level, you're at the game, it's a timeout. You could play games on it like that. There's an interactive aspect to the court that I think is really exciting, and it's going to up engagement. You can have different ads. So every 4 minutes, Kentucky could potentially have different revenue and generate more revenue by having, you could have Papa John's on the court for a 4-minute stretch. You could have Paul Miller Ford for another 4-minute stretch, and you can rotate those out, and you could charge, and you can have, multiple 4-minute. You could have an overtime sponsor. Those are those cool little things that you're going to see. I think Kentucky's going to have and really be on the cutting edge with. So, kind of looking a little bit more into the stats. Overall, Kentucky shot 63.2% from the field, 48 of 76. Only shot 9 free throws. I mean, I don't think that's completely shocking. For the total in the game. Yeah, I don't know if this team probably isn't going to shoot a ton of free throws, but I mean, what was actually shocking is they were 6 of 9. The way we shoot the rock, you'd think that this is going to be an elite free throw shooting team. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's not. Maybe it's just the fact that they're not going to get to the line as much. So it's going to be interesting to see that perspective. And then also, I think the offensive, last year Kentucky was really fun to watch offensively, right? They could really fill it up. You had, Dillingham, Reed Shepherd, but they were terrible defensively. I think you're going to see a big shift there on the defensive side of the ball. You've got a lot of guys who know how to play defense, that have played a lot of defense in big games and big leagues. Obviously, Lamont Butler went to the national championship game. You've got Otega Owe, who's physical, just like crazy. Amari Williams. I think Brandon Garrison's probably a player that we have to really look at as like a breakout player. The interesting thing about this roster, I think, is Kentucky can go big, and you could have Garrison. You could play Amari at the 4. You could play Carr at the 3. So you could go really, really big. You go really small and run and gun. You can put Carr at the 5. Obviously, you can run the floor. He can shoot, all that, all that good stuff. So very exciting to see Kentucky ramp up. Obviously, back in action on Tuesday night at Rupp Arena. That'll be a 7:00 tip-off time against Minnesota State. I don't know anything about Minnesota State. I guess they're the Bulls. And then obviously Kentucky opens up on November 4th against Wright State. Trying to see just how many 9 p.m. tip-off game. We got a 9:30 tip-off. My God. We got a 10. So 2. Just really cool. We got an 11 a.m. 11 a.m. What in the world? We got an 11 a.m. tip-off against Florida. 8:30. We got 4, 5. We got 5 and 2 TBAs on, so 5 games that are 9 or later. I don't understand those real late games. Like, we are still on Eastern time. Last time I checked, I don't understand that. I wish we didn't play 9:00 games, but I don't know the last time, if ever, maybe, I just don't remember, Kentucky played an 11 a.m. tip. If anybody wants to throw that in like the chat or anything like that, maybe you know better. I do not. So, kind of talking about shifting gears, talking about football. This game, the game against Auburn. I know a lot of people have maybe checked out about maybe checked out with football. I'll never check out with football. I love football too much. I really do. It's my favorite sport. I've said this story a couple times. Lost a really good friend who we've tailgated with for years, and man, life's short. If you go, you tailgate, have a good time, go with your friends, your family, keep going. It's fun. From that perspective, and enjoy it. Look, you only get so many football games, and basketball is here, and they don't overlap on game day. So, still have a great time and enjoy this time of the year. It's the best time of the year, if you ask me. You got, in the NBA, college basketball, NHL, NFL, World Series starts tonight. My dad is from Hackensack, New Jersey, so he's been a lifelong Yankees fan. So go Yankees! Want the Yankees to win. My second favorite baseball team. I am a Marlins fan, unfortunately, because I grew up in South Florida. So you can laugh at that all you want. Kentucky tomorrow has several people out. Obviously, Demi Sumo Karnbe is out. Chip Trainum is out. Maxwell Hairston's still out. Jansen Dunn is out of this game. So a little bit thin at defensive back. Gerald Mincy is out of this game as well. Josiah Hayes, obviously, he's been out for a long time. Questionable is Keyshawn Silver. That would be a big loss if he's not able to go. Deion Walker, DJ Waller. These guys are quite probable. That I don't think we have any issue there of guys not being able to suit it up. Interesting stats about Auburn. Kentucky has not beaten Auburn since 2009. They have not beat Auburn in Lexington since 1966, which is kind of crazy. Obviously, we haven't played Auburn a ton over the years, but to think that we haven't beat them since 1966 in Lexington is kind of crazy, if you ask me. But just kind of looking at the all-time series, Auburn does lead the all-time series 27-6. Auburn is on a 3-game winning streak. They dominated the series. I mean, if you look from 1967 to 2005, and even though we don't play Auburn a whole lot, Auburn's dominated Kentucky, and this is probably one of those teams we don't talk about dominating a series with. It's like we talk about Georgia, like we talked about Florida, obviously Tennessee. Auburn's had a lot of success against Kentucky. Since 2009, we've played them 3 times. 2010 in Lexington, that was a really close game. That was the year they won the national championship. Cam Newton played here. I think that was that game, right? Yes. Yeah. Right? It was 2010. Yes, I was right. Yeah. That was right, because we also lost to them. Sorry, it was like I was like, there's another close game. It was a Thursday night game. That was the last time I think Kentucky's played on a Thursday night. Lost 30-27. Obviously, that was a really wonky game. Kentucky should have won that game. Lost 37-34. So last 2 games in Lexington have been 3-point games. Obviously, lost the opening game, the COVID game in 2000 or in 2020, 29-13. That game still kind of burns my ass a little bit. I'll be honest with you, just because that was one of the worst calls I think ever. I don't know how in the world Chris Rodriguez was not ruled to be in the end zone. Don't know. Pissed me off. Stupid. Whatever. We can go down that list. Yay. That was really, really irritating from that perspective. So I think Kentucky probably should have won at least out of the last 3, at least one. They've had a chance to win all 3 in the last 3 matchups. But Auburn comes in here. They're reeling, obviously, a little bit. They're 2-5 on the season. Just to kind of recap, they beat Alabama A&M 73-3, lost to Cal at home 21-14, beat New Mexico 49-14, and then has lost to Arkansas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Missouri. Now, we'll caveat that a little bit. The Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri games all close. Even Georgia, they played really well in the first half, not so well kind of in the second half. Georgia really pulled away. Georgia obviously coming off that loss to Alabama, so who knows from that. Oklahoma come from behind win, thought they had that game won, and then last week they gave up 15 points in the fourth quarter to Missouri for Missouri to come back and win. We can talk about Missouri being way overrated probably at another time, but obviously play Kentucky now tomorrow night at Kroger Field. Look, I'll put it this way. I'm really hoping Kentucky's fan base really shows up for this game. I was a little nervous against Georgia, balled out. That was one of the best atmospheres. Obviously, it's a little different. We're coming off losses to Vanderbilt and Florida. Kentucky should beat Vanderbilt and Florida. We can have a whole conversation about the coach. We can have a whole conversation about all these other things. I think that the fan base should be pissed. I don't think that they shouldn't be pissed. We're not going to make a coaching change, probably, period. Kentucky has a $44 million buyout. So just throw that out of the window. I think that there will probably be changes. I think there's going to be things that has to happen. I think Mark Stoops has to look in the mirror a little bit. My number one critique of Mark Stoops has been he's way too stubborn, and his ability to kind of adapt and change as things go. I don't think we should be talking about coaching changes probably at this point in the season, right? Kentucky needs a couple big things. Look, Kentucky just lands a 4-star tight end. They get him over Ohio State, get him over Georgia, South Carolina. Big time recruit, right? Recruiting's going on. We need to keep that momentum up. The bowl streak's a big thing. Kentucky can hang its hat on. It's one of the longest bowl streaks in the nation. I know people go, oh, it's 6-6 or whatever. It's a shitty bowl, whatever. When we go to a shitty bowl, I mean, it's still at least the thing we can hang our hat on. The thing is that extra playing time, that extra practice time is very big for the young players. Very big, and why Kentucky over the last few years has had a leg up on some people. You're probably going to have a lot of young guys play. Obviously, I don't think Deion Walker would play in a bowl game unless Kentucky does some miracle, wins out the rest of the season, ends up going to a really bigger, much bigger bowl game. So there's a lot at stake for Kentucky in this game. If they lose, I don't see a path to 6. I mean, it becomes real hard to get to 6. If they win this game, obviously, you've got Louisville, you've got Murray State. I don't think Tennessee's unwinnable. I think, though, if they lose tonight, I just think that it's a morale thing, right? I think that becomes much harder for Kentucky if they were to lose tonight or tomorrow night. Obviously, they have Tennessee coming up next weekend at Tennessee. That's a night game. That's going to be... Look, I think Tennessee might be the most overrated team in the top 10, but they don't have a very good offense, but boy, do they have a really good defense. I would probably take their offense because it's better than our offense, which is unfortunate and not phenomenal to talk about. But I hope BBN shows up. I hope they show out. If nothing else, I hope they do it for the players and like I said, life's short. Enjoy it and have fun. It's a night game. It's going to be beautiful. It's a great day to have a couple bourbons and a hot dog or whatever you grill out and, really enjoy a time. It's going to be, I think, 65 and sunny and then, low 50s, high 40s come game time. Peyton Thorne lost starting job. Now he's back. He is very inconsistent, very good with his legs, though. He's thrown 11 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, 1,400 yards on the season. Jaquez Hunter, 585 yards, is their leading running back. He's also got 3 TDs on the season. Keandre Lambert-Smith, their number 1 wide receiver, 6 touchdowns on the year, 526 yards on 26 catches. And Dorian Musai Jr. is leading them in tackles with 40. I think I saw something else about Auburn where they're like one of the best offensive efficiency teams in the country, or not in the country, in the conference, but they're not very good, right? But it's those thin margins, man. It's those thin margins Kentucky's been living on. I don't think Kentucky blows Auburn out. I just don't think that. I don't know. I'm going to say I don't think we're capable of it. I think Kentucky's capable of anything. I mean, look, Kentucky could go in and beat Texas and lose to Murray State. I mean, that's just the way the season's going. I think Kentucky. I've predicted Kentucky's going to win the last 2 games too, so I don't know how much stock I'll take into this. I think Kentucky wins the game. I think it's close, probably like 20-17, 23-20, 23-21, something like that. I think it's a really close game. I think both teams kind of mirror each other a little bit. Also, Auburn's had a lot of explosive plays. Again, really odd. They turn the ball over a lot. That's the Achilles heel that Auburn's had all season. They're one of the most. They turn the ball over a lot, and they're penalized a lot. So Kentucky's actually still the least penalized team in the SEC. Don't know if anybody realizes that, but they still are the least penalized team in the conference right now, which, not that it means anything when you're sitting at, under 500. Don't think it means a lot, but at the same time, 3-4, there's at least 3 winnable games left on the schedule. You got to go get them. The really disappointing thing is the momentum you lose after winning at Ole Miss, and losing to Vanderbilt. Should have won. The game against Florida, not nearly as, I mean, obviously lost by 28. That's not a 28-point game. I'm still miffed at 2 calls. Demi Sumokarbe goes in on a 4th down play. Don't even look at it. Ref gets a happy whistle. And then on the other end, we call a touchdown. Nobody sees anybody go in the end zone. Like, it's just phantom. Look, Florida, maybe Florida still scores. I don't know, but I mean, that's a 14-point swing right there. Absolutely terrible. And I mean, that was just unreal. So I like Kentucky. I do like Kentucky tomorrow. It's fall break. I don't know how the student section is going to look. It's been really good. Look, you can't fault Kentucky and the fans. The fan base is showing up every single game. You're probably going to, I don't think it's full tomorrow. I don't think it's empty though. I just feel like Kentucky fans are going to show up. It's the last day of Keeneland. People are out. Probably have a lot of last minutes. Well, let's go to the game because it's going to be pretty out. I don't think it's a sellout, but I think Kentucky goes. I'm just going to check the weather real quick just to see exactly what it's going to be. 65 and sunny tomorrow. It's 83 today. Like Kentucky weather is bipolar as all get out right now. 83, it's going to be 65 tomorrow. Low tonight's 53. Low tomorrow is going to be 40. Going to be in the 30s on Saturday or Sunday is the low. And then it gets back up into the mid 70s before it drops again. I mean, this is one of the weirdest weather patterns I think I've seen Kentucky have for a long time, but obviously nobody cares about the weather as much. We're here to talk basketball and football. So I think Kentucky wins. Yeah. And it's going to be really exciting to see Kentucky get back on the basketball court on Tuesday. And then ultimately, 6 days later, start the season for real after that. So little thing we'll kind of announce right now. I guess we'll throw it out there. Going to start doing a daily show, a live daily show. I'll set it up. It'll be recurring. It'll be on Instagram. It'll be on Twitch. It'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on X. Gonna do it around lunchtime, I believe. So that way we can have, you guys can sit back and listen on lunch or watch or whatever, and that way it's kind of from that perspective it's kind of cool. Might do this also for the pregame show. We might start this and start doing a live stream during the pregame show. Might be something fun to try as well. And we'll also be doing some basketball pregame shows, more for the late games, weekend games, things like that. Just a little hard to do. At least on ESPN on 102.7 The Game. So that's all I got. I appreciate everybody who jumped on and watched and listened. Looking forward to a fun game. Hopefully, World Series starts tonight. Obviously, that's going to be really exciting to watch. Big weekend of college football, and also you've got more college basketball and some fun exhibition games going on. I'm a big hockey fan. As you can see, there's Panthers. They had a big win last night against the Rangers, defending Stanley Cup champions. Go Panthers. So it's really fun. There's almost sports on every single night now. You can sit and watch sports, and it's going to be really fun, obviously, 1st of November, because that's when football season's going into the last month. The college football playoffs are going to start ramping up. I think we might get the college football playoff first poll. It's either this week or next week, I believe. So that'll be fun to watch as well. So thanks everyone for listening.